President Trump saying he is disappointed in North Korea after new satellite images show new activity at a missile site there. Senate Armed Services Committee member Mike Rounds is not surprised. Senator, thank you for joining. Why are you not surprised?
North Korea requires, in order to maintain their regime, they believe that they have to have nuclear capability.
We're kind of breaking in and out of your feed, but I'd like to ask you, would Kim, the head of North Korea, the dictator there, would he be free to do this without approval of the Chinese government?
I don't believe so. I think China has to decide that it's in their interest that North Korea eliminate their nuclear weapons. I don't think they're there yet. I think they're playing the game. I think we're in trade negotiations, and they will use their position between North Korea and the United States to barter for better trade positions, but at the same time recognize that they could very well help us in our negotiations with North Korea. North Korea is not doing anything without permission from China.
So if that's true, if in fact they're playing North Korea to help them in our trade negotiations, do you think they played a role, the Chinese played a role in Kim's strategy with Trump in Vietnam? Good
question. Once again, I think North Korea made an offer, and I think the president, to his credit, said, I will walk away from a bad deal. And I think that's what you saw. I think they made a demand, and the president said, I'm not in the business of accepting bad deals. And the fact that he told them no may very well strengthen our hand in the future.
Well, clearly what we plan to do in order to hit back for their refusal to really negotiate in good faith is ratchet up the maximum pressure against the North Koreans even more. But if the Chinese are behind anything they say or do, maybe that won't help.
I agree with you. But if we are able to negotiate a trade agreement with China, China may very well have more of an interest in moving forward and negotiating with us to see that North Korea, who has become a problem child for them, they don't like the attention. They don't like instability on that border. They think that North Korea is a problem for them. But they most certainly would like to use North Korea to create havoc for us as well. In the meantime, I think as we move forward with trade negotiations with China, I think they may very well be interested in providing additional sanctions on North Korea should they not behave. But at this point, it's in their best interests, they believe, at least this is my opinion, that they play the middle ground and they play us on trade negotiations. And at the same time, they act as an ally to North Korea and give them cover in this discussion about nuclear stabilization and the elimination of nuclear weapons on the peninsula.
Well, do you think President Trump should call out the Chinese on what they're doing as forcing the hand of the North Koreans and threaten to not only mention it, but also threaten to ratchet up our pressure on the Chinese with higher tariffs or whatever?
I think the real issue will be whether or not China is in a position to honor the sanctions that are in place now, and whether or not China will work with us to provide additional sanctions on North Korea if they don't negotiate in good faith. So I think, once again, the president's in negotiations with China on trade. I'm not going to suggest that I know enough about where those negotiations are to suggest to him the next step. But clearly what we're talking about here is not new to the administration. They understand all that's in play here. And I just think the sooner we're able to negotiate those trade agreements with China, the better off it's going to be for our economy, but also the stronger position we have in negotiating with North Korea on the issues of nuclear disarmament.
But you think if there are any discussions about North Korea, it should be done behind closed doors? The president shouldn't, he's not shy, certainly, about calling out anybody, but you don't think he should call them out in public about what they're doing with North Korea?
I think the president believes that he has a very good working relationship with their president, and I think he'd like to continue that. That means he has to be able to speak privately and to hold those conversations privately with the president of China. And if he's able to do that, I think there may be an opportunity to move forward with disarmament with North Korea. But clearly, China understands their position. They're going to hold that position, and they're going to use it as in my opinion, a negotiating tool with the United States on trade.
Senator Mike Rounds, good to have you here, Senator. Thank you very much for taking the time. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend.